Welcome to the show. Now please strap in for the truth and remember the words of the great Tom Cruise.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Now welcome to Off Topic on Porn.
All right, OTOP family, we're back for another episode. I am Rob Looper with my buddy in, let's call it podcasting world, not crime, because we don't do crime, do we, Russell? But OTOP with Rob and Russell. Hey, Russell, and we have today again with us one of the people who works with us on the in the background, getting us stories, getting us stuff. James is joining us. Hey, buddy, what's up, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Hey, happy to do it. Happy to do it. And we're going to jump right in because there's a lot going on. But we want to hit one thing. I don't know about you guys, but I went to fill up my gas tank, and man, sticker shock at the gas tank. And let me tell you, the war with Iran is taking an interesting turn. Now they've decided not only are they going to fire on anybody and everybody, but now they're going to make more friends by closing off the Straits of Hormuz, which is where all the gas, when it gets into barrels and everything, is shipped through. So they're making more friends. And now people who were not really they're like, we're not going to get involved. They're like, wait a second. So, guys, I want to ask you some questions about this. What do you think kind of the ramifications, first of all, the ramifications for Iran are going to be here by shutting down the Straits of Hormuz? So let's go with Russell. Why don't we were talking about this earlier.
Well, James is actually more.
You want to go with James first? All right, James, I'm going to throw to you.
Don't mind.
He's going to be
absolutely.
He's our political guy in the sky here.
Yeah, thanks. See, the main thing, what's going on here is that the Strait of Hormuz controls about 20% of the world's oil exports. So it comes through this strait. It's a narrow passageway coming from the Gulf through the open market, through the open sea, and basically Iran controls it as a choke point. And the main thing is, I mean, just today, hours ago, oil prices shot up well over close to $115 per barrel, which means that come tomorrow, we may see $4 a barrel at per gallon at the pump, and it may last until 2027. That's according to Goldman Sachs. So all these people who thought, well, why are we getting involved? You know what? This is why we're getting involved. That's one reason. That here's a bad actor. Here's a country that controls so much, and this is also the country that's threatening to shut down the U.S. economy, the global economy, and they, as we mentioned before, they want to kill us. Death to America, death to Israel. And so a lot can happen in the next few days. President Trump has threatened to blow up all of the country's power plants. And if so, Iran has said that they have promised to shut the Strait of Hormuz down indefinitely until all of those power plants are rebuilt, if that happens. That was the latest rhetoric. So a lot's at stake, but a lot of countries are now getting on board. They're finally realizing that, wait a second, a rogue regime in power controlling the world's oil supplies, maybe that's not a good thing.
Yeah, hello, McFly.
Right. I mean, seriously, at
Go
this
ahead.
point, yeah, I mean, hello.
Name the 80s movie.
I mean, how about this? Wake up, join the party. I mean, again, nobody, my question is, again, at this point is, at what point do, they have that, but at what point do all the other nations kind of go, okay, you know what? I'm not sure you need to keep that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we just, make that the world's, it belongs to the world now. The world needs that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I don't know. I think it's going to be hard, in my opinion, for it to be shut down when the world is going, we need this. And,
Right.
They don't have the ability to, again, Iran is not the superpower that I think it needs to be to say, we can hold off the world. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but I mean, yeah. With what navy?
Right. That's what
What are you gonna
that's what I
What's
was
that?
wondering.
What's that?
What
James?
Davis? Yeah, the thing about Iran is you may have noticed that they were very good at the art of propaganda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember, this is the same country that was behind the attacks in Gaza, and has the world convinced that Israel's the bad guy when Hamas attacked Israel, but Israel's the bad guy. That's propaganda, and they're using it so well in the American media in the West, and that's its biggest stronghold. Its strongest weapon. It's not the
But it seems to
missiles.
backfire in this particular campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I'm not sure that they can hold
Well, no,
hold that.
it's idle rhetoric. It
Yeah.
is. I mean, they have taken a shellacking from Israel and the United States. Their Air Force is very decimated. Their Navy is practically non-existent. I mean, they don't have any major firepower in their naval capacity. That's why they're floating mines out there to try to, hit some ships to blow them up or to catch them on fire. But all of their submarines have been sunk. That's why I say, with what Navy? You need a Navy to do that, and then you need a Navy that's strong enough to push back any other Navy that comes along, which nobody has that.
Right.
It's not compared to ours. And when you consider the weaponry that they've either purchased or have been gifted from the likes of Russia and China, and how easily that was dealt with by the United States technology. And a lot of this is because we have superior technology in the satellite technology that is viewing all of this. I think James is right on target here. They're just this is a propaganda maneuver. They're not blocking anything.
Yeah. And it's up to America and the West to really make good on their promises. If they intend to strike this country, we have to follow through, because any inaction is going to be seen as weakness.
Yes.
Because they are looking for the moral victory. They know they can't win, but they want to look like they still won. So it's important for the rest of the world to see, no, let's expose this king with no clothes.
Yeah.
Let's show the world that this is a puppet dictator. They have no teeth, and they can't get away with what they're doing. They've convinced the world they're a bigger, badder, dangerous threat than they actually are.
Yeah,
it's time to stop.
And they've had some 50 years of people backing down to artificially inflate their self-opinion.
Yeah,
and that's why they
President Obama.
What? Yeah,
people like President Obama.
Yeah, he's a prime example. He actually
capitulates
proactively. Capitulated and funded.
Gave Iran billions.
Pallets of cash. I wish he'd send me just one pallet.
I can do it. Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, we're just gonna send it places. I'll give them my address. You can send me one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the biggest thing with this is just, trying to, like you said, there's a rogue nation, and there needs to kind of be okay, let's just calm down and, either get back in line, or, in a way it's going to be, then you need to be dealt with, because, you're basically creating a problem for the whole world at this point, so, and what's interesting is they're firing on everybody, even their not really their supposed friends, but they're firing on people, their next door neighbors. Saudi Arabia evidently called a meeting, and they're like, "Hey, look, we got to stop these people. They have to be stopped. We can't have this anymore." So you even have like Arab nations going, we can't do this anymore.
So much for the Muslim Brotherhood, right?
But of course, Iran is a Farsi. They're not Arabs.
Yeah, that's right. And that's an important thing to remember, is that the Persians never were Arabs.
Yeah, they never were Arabs.
So
they speak the same language as the people in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Right.
Farsi.
So that's an important distinction, especially when you consider the overall history between Israel, we'll say the Jewish people, and the Persian people. There has been more good between those two peoples than there has been bad. In fact, it was with the advent of Islam that the bad started happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you just look at the books of Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther in the Bible to get some idea of the relationship, the very positive relationship between the Jews and the the empire of Persia back during those days. And now, because of what Israel and the United States have been doing in their air campaigns, there's actually, and I shared this with Dr. Arnold. The other night went to dinner with Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum and shared this with him. He was not even aware that they were waving not only U.S. flags in Iran, the citizens, but also Israel flags in Iran.
Yeah.
Now, when is the last time you saw something like that?
Yeah, it's, they try to keep it from happening, but again, the internet and Starlink and all these things are making it almost impossible for them to suppress some of the stuff coming out of
That's
there.
right. Thank you, Elon Musk.
Thank you, Elon.
Yeah.
Or as Donald Trump would say, Elon. So, so
yeah, but Jews have lived in Persia, I guess, for what 2,500 years, at least. So
one of them even married a monarch. So
there you go.
True.
That's right.
And Queen Esther. But read your Bibles, folks.
There you go.
Make sure
read your Bibles.
Make sure you read it and find out. If you don't, we'll give you a hint. Yeah. Read Esther.
Yes.
We'll give you the
There will
cheat
be
code.
A quiz. Yeah.
There'll be a quiz later.
Jews win.
Jews win. Read Esther. That's the book. So it's named after her. She married the monarch. So we'll just kind of give you that one. But so let's move to another topic. Kind of a sad topic, really. So the passing of Chuck Norris. Man, I was shocked. I got up and I was getting ready to go. And when I go to work, I could work remotely. So I was going into my office, and my wife said, "Hey, you'll never believe this. Hey, get this. Chuck Norris passed away." And I was like, "That's not true. That's just." I honestly said, "I was like, that's probably probably a hoax." And she's like, "No, it's on like 7 news outlets." And so I started looking, and I'm like, "Man, doggone it, he did, man." So Chuck Norris has passed away. So we can all give our favorite Chuck Norris either meme or ism, if you will. Mine, one of my favorites of all time is that one day Chuck Norris had to use the restroom, so he peed in the gas tank of a big rig. That big rig turned into Optimus Prime. So
that's one of the grosser ones, I guess.
It is, but look, it's probably one of the true ones. And then one of my other favorite ones is Chuck Norris gargles peanut butter. So
yeah.
So anyway,
no doubt.
Russell, you got any?
Well, yeah. So to the man, Chuck Norris. I mean, he's known obviously as an actor, and not only starred in but helped produce numerous hit movies over the years.
Yep.
And then he was also even before that, a serious martial artist.
Very serious, by the way.
He was world karate champion.
Yeah.
Very respected in the martial arts field. Personal friends with Bruce Lee and with Bob Wall and
he was a 6-time karate champion, like 6 times in a row, like and that's unheard of.
Yeah, he was quite the machine. He really was.
He really was.
The thing is,
black belt.
Yeah, he was.
And he was a black belt in multiple martial arts styles, also before it was all done.
And he was like 8th degree. He's the first American to ever get an 8th degree black belt, and I think it was in I don't remember what the discipline was, but he's the first American to ever get 8th degree. I was like, geez.
But his core martial art style was now I'm forgetting.
I'm sorry.
Hold on a second. Give me a moment. It's my. I just had a birthday the other day, and so my old age is catching up with me.
Happy birthday, Russell.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it, guys. Tang Soo Do was his core style, but of course he added to it. He did the same thing Bruce Lee did as a martial artist. Bruce Lee started off with Wing Chun as his the style that he learned back in Hong Kong, China, and then from that, as he got better and as he gained more and more notoriety and popularity and really he gained an interest in all kinds of different martial arts forms. He eventually developed a system called Jeet Kune Do. And Jeet Kune Do, I think the main practitioner of that, the one who's considered the most senior guy in that style, is a man named Danny Inosanto, who is still with us. He's up in years now, but he was one of the premier students of Bruce Lee. Now, Bruce Lee was friends with Chuck Norris, and they were good friends. In fact, Chuck Norris's first major movie was one that was released in China under the title The Way of the Dragon, but in the United States, it was released as Return of the Dragon. And it's one of my favorite movies, especially in that genre. And there's the iconic scene between Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris in the Roman Colosseum. And it's still considered one of the great martial arts scenes of the movie industry, even to this day. But, he wasn't just a movie and a karate guy. He was also a very strong, committed evangelical Christian. He made a profession of faith when he was younger in life, and then he kind of walked away from it, as many people do, because he started pursuing other things. And then later on, largely through the influence, I believe, of his wife, he came back to the Lord and really practiced his Christianity very seriously. There's actually a book I have that talks about that, and also he produced at least one semi-major Christian movie. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Maybe it'll come back to me. But anyway, he did. And he was also a philanthropist.
Yep.
And he worked with young people. There was a program called, it used to be called Kick Drugs Out of America, and it's been since renamed to Kickstart Kids. That's a Chuck Norris thing, where he teaches them higher principles. And that's what he did. He taught them higher principles through martial arts, and he engaged in character development with them, and a lot of this and respect and purpose and things like that. And a lot of this was done for kids that were underprivileged. So just a really genuinely good Christian man all the way around. A few other things here, guys, if I could.
Yeah.
Just since we're kind of honoring him, and I want to make sure he gets full honor, because there's a lot of as James was telling us before the podcast, there's a lot of people out there who are left-leaning, who are seizing this opportunity because he was a white Christian man who was a pro-Trump supporter. And so you got to castigate them. Let me just say a word to those people. You're the first generation of people who are doing this stuff in mass, and you're not impressive. We see who you are. You are not right. And you don't even know how to be a good person, let alone a good American. And you're letting it be shown. When you're saying the kinds of things that you're saying, you are on the trash side of humanity, and you don't even know it. Right. Some of you just need to grow up. Maybe you should go back to grade school and suck your thumb again, and then come back up through and learn the right way how to do life. This man is so much ahead of you. He's so much over you. You can't touch the latchet of his shoes, Chuck Norris. And yet here you are running your fool mouths like you know something, and you don't. And you prove it every day on your ridiculous podcasts. Now, that's the beginning of what I would say to them. I wish some of them would call us out there so that we could say some more to them. But back to Chuck Norris. So his first big movie breakthrough was Return of the Dragon. But he also he actually involved himself in making other movies and producing movies. One of them was Good Guys Wear Black. Another one, I remember when it came out, Lone Wolf McQuade. I loved that movie. Remember the Missing in Action series? That was very popular. Yep. Invasion USA was another one I really liked. And the Delta Force.
Yeah, Delta Force was good.
Just amazing. And that one had Lee Marvin in it, the original one. And so and then there was a movie that is not as well known today called Silent Rage, which was like a mixture between martial arts and it was not exactly horror, but kind of. Some guy had been injected with this serum that made him regenerate. You could kill him and he would still regenerate and come back to life, kind of like the Hulk.
Okay.
But he wasn't the Hulk, but he was super strong and you couldn't kill him. And he kept coming back, and Chuck Norris had to keep killing him, and finally he just threw him down a well, and he couldn't climb out of the well. So he's down probably to this day in the well alive. Okay. And people thought that there would be a sequel because of that, but there never was a sequel to Silent Rage. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention mention Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Walker. Hey, I still know the
I mean,
song
did,
to
did
that.
you
To
guys
that.
watch that?
In the eyes of a
Yep.
ranger, an unsuspecting
episodes, yeah.
stranger had better know the truth of wrong from right,
Very good.
because the eyes
That's
of the
Cordell.
ranger are upon you.
Right. Believe it or
Because
not,
Texas.
I was gonna say the Texas Senate actually named him an honorary Texan.
I bet they did.
He was born in Enid, Oklahoma. That's
Yeah.
a pretty big deal. We don't
I
like
mean,
Oklahoma.
that's
in
close
Texas.
enough.
Right,
Well, you know,
look.
I like Oklahoma. We
fine.
we banter
Not
back and
football.
forth because of Texas OU weekend and all that, but
Right.
Oklahoma's good people.
They're good
And I'm not
people.
really all that big on the University of Texas anyway because they're so woke. So who cares, right? Probably OU is as well. He played Cordell Walker, a lawman who
Yep.
upheld justice with both strength and moral conviction, and he held on to the right principles even in that movie. I love shows like that,
Yeah.
where higher principles are communicated.
And he did it with a roundhouse kick. It was awesome.
Yeah, his patented famous roundhouse kick. He
kick.
was the
Nobody
master
has
of
a
that.
roundhouse like Chuck,
So
man.
something I digressed on a while ago. Let me come back to it very quickly. I mentioned Bruce Lee and his martial arts form. I was going to also say Chuck Norris did the same kind of thing, and he developed a style called Chun Kuk Do,
Yep.
which was his own system
Yeah.
that was an eclectic system. Off screen, Norris was strong in his Christian faith, especially in the last few decades, and he glorified the Lord.
Yeah.
He glorified Jesus Christ. He was a morally responsible man, and he lived a disciplined life. It was reflected in his martial arts, but his life was disciplined. I mentioned he did a Christian movie. It's called The Bells of Innocence, and it's not so well known, but it's worth watching once if y'all ever get an opportunity to see it. But let me just wrap what I'm saying up here and bring it full circle. Whether it's in the film industry, the martial arts world, Christian circles, the circles of philanthropy and good deeds, Chuck Norris has he always maintained a strong reputation as a man of integrity, a man of professionalism, a man of consistency, and in the latter decades, a man who loved his Lord.
Yep.
And was a good testimony for that. He also was on the correct side of politics, if I may be permitted to say so. So let me share a couple of my. The man was definitely larger than life. Let me share a couple of my Norrisisms here, and then I'll be quiet and let you guys talk.
Okay.
Chuck Norris. These are my favorite ones. There's 7 of them. Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down.
Yes. Love that one. So great.
Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice.
Twice. Yes. Yes.
When Chuck Norris enters a room, he doesn't turn the lights on. He turns the dark off.
Yes. Absolutely. Love that one.
Death once had a near Chuck Norris experience.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's a good one.
Love that one.
Chuck Norris doesn't wear a watch. He decides what time it is.
Yes.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Chuck Norris doesn't sleep. He waits.
Yes.
And,
Absolutely.
and lastly, the boogeyman checks his closet for Chuck
Norris.
Yes. There you go. That rounds out my
I love
favorites,
it.
although there's a whole bunch of other
There
ones
are
I like.
so many. There are awesome.
There are so many.
They're so good.
Yeah, I wonder if somebody's written a book. Somebody should compile.
Actually, there are websites totally devoted to Chuck Norris.
But not a book, huh?
Not a book that I'm
Somebody
aware
needs
of
to do
yet.
that.
Somebody should put them together.
All right, guys. So that's my tribute to the great man.
To the great man, Chuck Norris.
I'm glad that he's with his Lord. I'm sorry
Yeah.
that we do not have him here with us still. I've always had great respect and admiration for him.
Here's the thing that I was thinking, and maybe this is a Chuck Norrisism. Maybe Chuck Norris went home because God's like, hey, you want a roundhouse kick the sky, split it open, and that's how Yeshua comes back. That's why the sky splits open, because Chuck Norris roundhouse kicked it.
I don't know. What do you think about the theology of that, James?
That sounds. All I know is that time waits for no man.
That's it. Except Chuck.
That man is Chuck Norris.
That's right. I knew that was coming, baby. Yes.
It's coming.
The theology of Chuck Norris roundhouse kicking the sky is not acceptable theology, but it sounds good, and it's a Chuck Norrisism for tonight, right?
I wonder what it would like to be Chuck Norris and hear those things floating around out there.
Okay, now I'm going to say this. Okay, so there was another movie that he was in. It's a rough movie. It doesn't have. It's violent. and it has a few language pieces, but it's called The Expendables, and I think it's The
Yeah,
Expendables
that's
2 or
right.
3.
Yeah,
And
two.
he actually pokes fun at himself with the Chuck Norrisisms because Sylvester Stallone, who plays the main character, looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, I'm a lone wolf." And he goes, "Well, I heard there's a platoon of tanks and some like 100 guys back there." He goes, "Oh yeah, I took them all out. It's fine. Don't worry about it." I mean, he poked fun at
That's great.
the Chuck Norris. He didn't take
Yeah.
himself too seriously, so they were out there, and I think he probably had fun with it. I really do.
That's
He
outstanding.
just seemed to be that kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? He just
Yeah,
was-
as a matter of fact, he knew Sylvester Stallone,
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. He knew Steve McQueen. He knew
Yeah.
all these
he
really
taught
famous
Steve
guys.
McQueen
And the man
karate.
was so humble and unassuming.
He taught Steve McQueen karate.
Another big, he did. That's right.
Yeah.
And so did Bruce Lee. And another person that was a big Chuck Norris friend and fan was our own President George W. Bush, who used to be
Yes.
governor of Texas here. He
Absolutely.
a very, very big
Yeah.
fan and associate. And,
Look, I
I mean,
think
you just go down the list.
yeah, I wish that he was still here because if you weren't a Chuck Norris fan, I'd nominate you for Roundhouse Kicked at 5. So we'll just line you guys all up and you can get Roundhouse Kicked at 5 o'clock by Chuck Norris. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I
that's
heard
what you
that.
deserve. So, but no, but with that, we will say we are happy that Chuck Norris is with the Lord. We are sad for a moment to be without him, but we know and we do not grieve as those who grieve. And we'll get to see him again, which that's going to be a
Yes.
great and glorious day. We'll shake his hand and be able to say hey, and that'll be great. But guys, anything else you want to say before we sign off?
I think I've said enough.
All
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So with that, we will
And-
leave you and we will say this. You don't always have to be on topic. You can be off topic, but you must always be on point. And we will see you on the next episode. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.